Welcome to Overtime the Podcast, a show dedicated to all things watches, with a special love for microbrands and their affordable range. I'm your host Praka, and some of you might know me as Kinda Average Watches. Join me as we explore new releases, share tips on building your collection, and put in some overtime with hands-on reviews of the latest watches. Whether you're a bit of a pro or you're just getting into the hobby, this podcast will keep you entertained with great stories from the people in the industry, casual conversations, and guest hosts who bring their own unique perspectives. Let's get started. All right, so welcome to Overtime the Podcast, proudly sponsored by Watchpoint. All right, so today we're joined by Grant. So Grant is the owner, the founder, the creator of the app, WristTrack App. So WristTrack App is I'll let Grant explain it fully exactly what it is, but just as a quick summary, WristTrack App is an app that allows you to track what's on your wrist every day, all the stats, all the graphs, whatever you want. People were doing it old school. People were tracking it using Excel and boring stuff like that. And then Grant come along and made this app, and it's pretty cool. But anyway, before I yap on for too long, I'd like to introduce Grant to the podcast. Grant, how you going?
Thanks, Praka. It's awesome to be here. Thank you for having me on.
You're welcome. For the audience, you would have noticed that the format is slightly different. We are now on a different platform, so you will be seeing my mug. On YouTube and Instagram and all that as well. So yeah. So anyway, before we crack on too far ahead, of course, we love to do our wrist checks. What's on your wrist, Grant?
So I figured since the app lets me track what is on my wrist, I thought I should wear my most worn watch of 2025 so far. So today I'm wearing my Peach Solita, I think is the name of it. My Peach Solita Christopher Ward 12, the limited edition 38mm ones they did tail end of last year.
Nice.
I visited a Christopher Ward event back in January. I think they'd already sold these out last summer, or the previous summer. I visited a Christopher Ward event in January. It was hosted by Mike, who I think you've had on the show, Mike Pearson from Christopher Ward, and Declan, who's the UK showroom manager. It was the nice thing about the event, a table full of Christopher Ward watches. I'm sure your listeners know Christopher Ward's mostly online. They're starting to branch out, especially in the States. I'm a big fan of CW. I've got 3 now. And it was nice to get a chance to try lots of them on, because a lot of the models they do in different sizes. You think, well, maybe I'm a 40mm guy, maybe 42, I'm not sure. But it was great to go and play with them all. Declan had one of these hidden away. It wasn't out for display. And I caught sight of it. I said, Declan, is that a 12? Is that one of the limited edition 12s? And he was really nice about it. He said, yeah, here, try it on. So I had it on my wrist. I thought, of all the watches I saw that day, this is the one that I genuinely fell in love with. And a week later, I think I'd just sold one of my watches. I dropped Declan an email. It was really nice. He said, here's my contact details. I dropped him an email and said, I can't get that Christopher Ward 12, the pink dial, out of my head. And he got back to me that afternoon and said, do you know what? We've got one in the showroom. A week later, it was on my wrist. And like I say, it's my most worn watch so far of 2025.
Amazing.
Let's just check, because this is really sad. 111 times I've worn it this year, which is a lot.
That's
I just can't get enough of it.
That's almost a third of the year. Quick maths. So yeah, awesome. Now that we have video, could you lift it up and show it to the audience?
Do you know, I should. There you go. Where's my camera? There we go.
Oh, there we go. That's awesome.
It's just such a subtle, gorgeous pink. And I'd never have thought I was a pink watch guy. In 2025, I bought 2 pink watches.
Did you? What's the other one?
The other is this Scottish, Australian, Kiwi brand Erebus from Jodie and Stephen, the hot pink Erebus Ascent. Pure bubblegum goodness, that one. Awesome. Another one I just can't get enough of.
39mm.
Exactly, yes.
Nice, beautiful. Great choice. Good to see Christopher Ward in your wrist and top of the charts. We will go through your, let's say, top 6 or maybe not. Let's do top three because I'll go into why not not more than that in a minute. Before, any further, I am wearing my ZL Series 1.5 in the aubergine. So, this is
What's a beauty?
so I'm not sure how much I've spoken about this in the podcast, but basically, independent brand based out of Singapore and Canada. It's a watchmaker slash enthusiast combo that's just and honestly, they're going from strength to strength. I'm not sure if you follow along their Instagram. The one they released after this was a special edition with guilloche and hand rose end and turn guilloche, and then the one after that they released their own in-house movement, fully in-house movement, not just a modified movement like this one, which is still pretty cool. It's a there's jump hour complications. Independent hour, what do we call them? So that's what there's the Ming. A few of the Ming models have them. So yes, I love it. I can't get enough of it. I wear it a lot.
Do you know, I know we've followed each other on Instagram for quite a while now, Praka, and I know we've posted that quite a bit, and it's just such a beautiful watch. I learned quite early on what I'd call dress watches aren't for me. I love the look of a dress watch, but I'm very much a tool watch guy. I need a bit of lume. I need something that I don't feel bad if I bang it on the side of a cupboard because I'm a clumsy old fool. But I love looking at them. I love looking at gorgeous dress watches. Like I say, we've followed each other on Instagram for a while. You've got some lovely watches that I just look at and think, that's gorgeous. I couldn't wear it myself. I'd love to own it, but it would sit in a box. And the colours on that one and the strap on that one as well is gorgeous.
I didn't even talk about the strap actually. Yeah. It's actually a kudu strap. Sorry to interrupt you there. So it's a custom strap by Atelier Kai, who is a strap maker in Singapore as well. They do all sorts of custom stuff. Apparently their wait times are crazy, like 6 months or something if you order something. I don't know if you can see that there. And, this is something due for an upgrade, which is the camera. It's not that great. But anyway, it's beautiful. It's the stitching is purple matched with the dial. Yeah, actually, it's not the strap that originally comes with the watch. I just asked Kenny, I said, hey, I don't really like the purple strap. Can I change it to something else? And he went, yep, whatever you want in this and this and this category, you can have. And if you want something that's in the exotics, then you can pay the difference basically. And I mean, this is already exotic as it is. It's kudu leather, which is there. So I was like, I'll take this one. So anyway, I can talk a lot about this watch, but we're not here to talk just about this watch today. We're here to talk about you, and we're here to talk about your app. Like Grant just said, we've followed each other on Instagram for a while now, and I have been a user of Grant's app for a while now. Although I must admit, and I did admit to Grant before the start of the episode, not the most consistent user, but I am good friends and also a friend of the show as well, who is a power user, so I can claim that. No,
that's good. I'm not going to hold that against you, Praka. I mean, I'm sorely and bitterly disappointed, obviously, but but the apps. Do you know you referred to me as the owner and founder at the start, right? That's a hobby. I don't really make any money from it. It's not a business, but it brings me a little bit of joy that other people use it, and it makes me feel like less of a nerd. That there are other people also interested in tracking their collection in that way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, makes complete sense. Before we get into the app in itself, and we kind of understand now what the app is, but I just want to know a little bit about you. You know, Grant, I mean, obviously you're a watch collector. You like watches. How'd you get into this? I mean, a little bit about yourself would be great, and as much or as little as you'd like to share, of course.
So let's talk about Grant's history with watches. So back many moons ago, when the world was a different place, I was in the Scouts, and I remember quite vividly. I must have been maybe 11 or 12. We were going on a scout camp. In Scotland, there was a wee area that the Scouts owned, essentially a field beside a beach. And every year the Scouts would go and pitch a bunch of tents, and all the kids would go away for a long weekend and light fires and get in trouble like you do. And I remember before I went, My dad was telling me, "You'll not have any clue what time it is sleeping in a tent. Take my watch." And my dad was never a big watch guy, but he gave me his watch off his wrist, which was a Loris. I think it's maybe
Yeah.
one of Seiko's sister companies.
Yep.
A cheap Seiko. It was an Annie Digi thing. It was my dad was he was in business. He worked with medical equipment, so it was quite a dressy kind of watch, but I thought it was cool because it had both an analog dial and a digital dial. He gave me that to take away in the scout camp, and from then on, I always had a watch on my wrist. Back in the late 90s, I treated myself, which was a huge purchase at the time, to an animal watch. I don't know if you remember those. I think
No, I
I
don't
think the
think so.
guys who did Animal went on to form, what's the name of them? Really rugged Thule watches. The name escapes me. So
Sure.
sorry, Praka. I'll need to
No,
look it
that's
up
all
and
right.
let you know.
Animal watch. Okay.
But I wore that through the last few years of school, through university. Bright orange watch, but again, it was invincible. I liked it. I like a good tool watch. Amazing lume, totally invincible. Back then, it had a mineral dial, but even now, 20 plus years later, I've still got it in a box. The case is scratched to hell, but it's a lovely reminder of the past. When the 2010s hit, probably, smartwatches became a thing, and I bought myself a Sony Smartwatch 3. That was my first Android Wear watch.
Yeah.
And for almost a decade, I wore smartwatches. And then when COVID hit, I'm sure a lot of people did this. I went from working in an office where a good portion of my day is just talking to people, walking about, getting some information. I was on my feet all the time. And it was nice to get that little notification on my wrist that said, you need to check something, get back to your desk. And that was useful. But when I started working from home, so I've now worked from home now since 2020, funnily enough. Never returned back to the office. I go in occasionally, but I have a little base of operations here. I work from home. And very quickly in 2020, when I was stuck, glued to a screen, when the pandemic hit, I didn't get a break. I know a lot of people, well, it was a stressful time, especially in the UK. A lot of places closed. A lot of people were furloughed and not having to work. It was kind of the opposite for me because I worked with a development team as a manager, but the bank that I worked for, a lot of our non-permanent staff were quickly sort of wound down. And those of us that were left were focused really heavily on closing down some outstanding work. All the banks went into almost a state of shell shock, closing down projects, but being a bank, there's critical work going on that needs to be done. So I was working very, very long days from home, kids running about all around me. It was hectic. And every time my watch went off while I was sat at my desk glued to a screen, screaming kids all around me, I started to hate that watch just a little bit more and a little bit more. And I started looking to get myself just a nice watch. And that was when I found Christopher Ward. Back then, probably still now, but back then, if you went to Google and just searched affordable mechanical watch, high quality, CW would pop up.
Yeah.
And around about that time as well, that's when the kind of offshoots of Christopher Ward set up a company, Tribus, with his sons.
Tribus. I remember that. Yeah.
Some really nice watches, but it didn't. The company made some big, bold decisions, and then the pandemic essentially wrecked them. So they were sold off really cheap. And while I was in this mode of searching for mechanical watches, I ordered one of them because I had their sort of flash sale. Dress watch, like I said before, it was a beautiful watch. I absolutely loved it. A Tribus Trio 3. It was gorgeous, but no lume, difficult to read in some lights. So I bought that. I bought another one from the Trio 2, which was kind of the opposite, very, very Thule. Still didn't have lume. The biggest failing of it didn't have lume. But that was always on my wrist. And I bought a Christopher Ward as well because it was the pandemic. And I thought I want as many watches as I can. That's when I started collecting. It snowballed from there. And over the last few years, I've just bought and sold a few watches. I don't have too many. That's partly where the app comes in because the idea of having a huge collection, it fills me with anxiety. I like the idea of having
a bit daunting, doesn't it?
A box or two of watches, enough that I can easily pick one out. I can look at my collection and say, I want that for today. And I'm a firm believer, the reason I wear a watch, the reason I like a watch, a nice watch, especially, I'm a collector, now that I collect watches, I need to be able to look at my wrist and that little spark of joy, you'll know what, I'm sure everyone listening knows what I'm talking about. The real watch collectors, you look down, it's like, I really like this. And then you look down again because you forgot to actually check what the time was.
Too busy just gawking at it. Yeah.
So everything in my collection gives me that little spark of joy whenever I wear it, whenever I look down. But by the same token, I can't have a big collection. There's something that makes me nervous about it, about having too many watches. And the Tribus Trio 3 is a good example. It was a gorgeous watch. I really, really liked it, but I never wore it, and I put off selling it for forever. It was the first mechanical watch I bought, first watch I ever sold. Because after 6 months of checking my stats in the app, I've not worn that now since last March. I eventually thought I need to package it up. I need to give it a wee dust off, take some nice photos, sell it, and look for what comes into the collection next.
So at that point, you've already had the app going. You've already started it for yourself? Or was it just a beta development for yourself? What point did the app come in?
So let me think. 2020, end of 2021, I think, was when I was buying those watches. And again, full credit to Christopher Ward. The Christopher Ward community is really nice. It's a community of enthusiasts. They're not all Christopher Ward banner waving admin. It's like a collection of people who have come around this love of watches, and CW's done a great job of forming a community around about that. Yeah, and they've got a forum. The forum software is terrible. It's like 20-year-old forum software, but the people on it are fantastic. And I found the forum when I was searching for Christopher Ward. That's kind of how I found Tribus as well. Tribus. And on the forum, as it was coming to the end of that year, I'd picked up the Trio 3, I then picked up the Trio 2 as well, October, November time. And then the end of year was coming, and one of the guys on the forum kicked off an end of year thread where he shows some graphs of here's what's been on my wrist this year. And it seems that it's very much an annual thing. Here's what I've been wearing this year, what's been on your wrist. And there was a wee conversation about it, and he shared screenshots from an app that was only available on iOS. Some others shared spreadsheets and so on with little nuggets of information that you might not get without tracking that information. And off the back of that, I started a spreadsheet, and I think I first released the app 9 months later. So I started a spreadsheet because the app that was being used, it wasn't quite what I wanted, but also it was only available on iOS, and I'm very much an Android guy.
Android user, same here.
Always have been. But I'm not a developer myself. It's very much a hobby. But I do work in IT, and I have a degree in software engineering, and I played about in the past with the Google's cross-platform framework. I thought, let me see what I can throw together. I threw together a really janky app, which was the foundations of what it is now. But right at the start, all you could do was add a list of watches. You could add a make and a model, and there was a little button to say, I've worn this today, and then it would draw a graph. And that was it. I think the next release, I put in the daily notification to remind you to do it every day. I copied all of the data from my spreadsheet in one date at a time into the app. It didn't show pictures or anything. It was very much just a very bare bones minimum viable product, you'd probably call it. It would take what you wanted and draw a graph. And I could wax lyrical, I could say Silicon Valley style. Where I'm empowering watch enthusiasts to understand their collection through data and all that. That's absolute nonsense. I just think graphs are cool. And the only reason I built the app is because those guys shared graphs, and I thought, I want to be able to draw a pretty graph of what's been on my list. And the app kind of grew from that. So it was, I want to be able to see a pretty graph at the end of the month, at the end of the year of what I've been wearing. But then how can I make it better? So the journey to use it is very much you enter a watch, and then every day you pick a watch and press a button. You get a notification. I've never been interested in, it being a huge commercial success. Like I say, it's cool that other people share my sickness. They want the
need for data.
They just want to see the stats as well. But it's interesting. I've slowly added more and more to it. You can track more details of your watches. And now, as well as just wear graphs, you can see, well, for a particular watch, what days am I more likely to wear that? So I've got some G-Shocks that tend to get worn at the weekends and in the summer.
Makes sense.
It can look at your collection and say, well, what sort of everyone always talks about case size. Yeah, 38mm guy, yeah, 42mm guy. And I'm a firm believer that that's meaningless. I think my smallest watch is probably 37mm, and my biggest is probably 43. But it doesn't mean very much. But then I didn't appreciate lug to lug until I started adding that to something I could track. And I can now see a little graph that says, well, actually, you've got a range of the sizes, but your lug to lug is relatively consistent
Around the
across it.
same.
Case thickness and things like that as well. I'm a firm believer that the sizes should suit the watch. I'm not going to go out and say, oh, that's 38mm. I'm a 43mm guy. If it doesn't feel like a tank on my wrist, I'm not going to wear it.
Yeah.
Because, and when I say a tank, I don't mean a tank, I mean a physical battle tank. I'm a firm believer that the dimensions and so on, it should suit the watch. I like to think I have a very versatile wrist, and I want to try as many watches as I can. I've never been interested in earning money from the app. I get a little bit of pocket money. I earn enough from it that I can pay Apple its
Licensing
extortionate
fees or
developer
whatever.
license every year. But I'd love to get successful enough that watch brands give me free stuff. Just to say that again.
Yeah. Do that
brands
again.
give me free stuff. And like I say, I love the sense of community that's slowly forming around about it. So
Yeah.
I'm quite active on Instagram. I constantly get messages and emails. There's a button in the app to say send some feedback, and we get emails every week, little suggestions of things to change. Half the stuff that's in it now has been a suggestion. So
I think I remember the time where I sent you a suggestion or asked you a question. I can't remember exactly what feature it was. And you responded saying, that's actually already coming in the next update or something. And then it was like a day or two later and there was an update and bang, here it was. I don't know if you remember. I'm trying to recall exactly what feature it was.
I need to check back through the messages. I know a big one that I did last year. So that same Christopher Ward event, it was one of the first times I'd met some other watch enthusiasts in person. A few of us that post on the one of the Facebook groups all kind of got together. Shout out to Jordan and Graham if they listen to this. I'll tell them to. We were chatting away. It was nice to chat to other people that don't kind of scoff when you say, "Oh yeah, I spend all my money on watches."
Or don't judge you as much.
And we were chatting away to them, and we were all just kind of talking about our collections. And I pulled out my phone and I pulled out the app because the app had little pictures in it. At that point, you could add a front and a back picture of a watch, which in retrospect is a very boring way of showing off your watches. And I pulled out the app and thought, this is a terrible way to show them my watches. I'm just showing them thumbnails. But if I go to Instagram, I'll be searching for the pictures of the right watch. If I go to my photos, I'm showing them all my family photos, trying to find a picture of the last watch I purchased or what I'm trying to talk about. And kind of off the back of that, I don't think it was you. I think someone else dropped me a message saying, have you considered putting a gallery in for the watches? And like I said, being at this event, I'd tried to use the app to show people stuff and realised that that's not what it was for. And it didn't click until I got that email. I think it's maybe a guy called Corey in the States, who's also great on Instagram.
Enthused Dad. Is that him?
No.
Different Corey.
Is it Courier? No, it's everyday Agnew. He always posts pictures of his watch, his EDC, and his baseball cap, and he always coordinates. A really, really nice guy. I always love his. I love his posts because I love the way he coordinates those things. I think it was him who suggested it. Yeah, pop a gallery in. So there were already pictures in the app. I've made it a little bit better since then. You can now add 3. It doesn't need to be just front and back. You can now make the pictures. If you want to show an individual watch, you can click on it. It pops up into a gallery. But I put a wee gallery view in, so you can now say, if you just want to show your collection, you can click on gallery. It pops up in a little carousel view. You can swipe through it. If you click it, pops some words on the page to say you've worn this X number of times. You can filter it down to your favourites and so on. But silly little things like that. It's not the core purpose of the app, but it gives you a nice way if you want to show another nerd the watches in your collection.
Yeah,
to pop it up.
It's a nice dimension to it. I think. I mean, there's where it started from is very much like you say, it was just an upgrade to your Excel spreadsheet to just where it is now, where you're just adding bits to do like a more user. I don't know, just this it's just cooler, I guess. It's a bit more to just like you say, the nerdery.
Yeah, I think over time it's slowly felt less amateur as well. So, like I say, the very first release was janky as hell, and it's slowly become less janky as it's gone. Janky in the sense that, I mean, functionally, it's always done what it was meant to do, but it's never been pretty. It's not really pretty now. I'm not a designer. I kind of hope the flows through it make sense.
Yeah, it does.
And I've always tried to focus on the purpose of it. The purpose is to let somebody track their watches as easily as possible. To me, as a watch collector, the watch is the important thing, right? Not jumping into a spreadsheet or an app every day. So being able to get in and do that as easily as possible has always been the priority. I also, I should probably say it's free.
Yes,
I give it away.
that's the most important. You sell is that it's free. But you do have a little. Do you have like a paid option?
Yeah,
I can't quite remember.
So there's a donation option. So
Yes.
So it's free and it's got little ads in it. I've never liked the idea. I hate when you go into an app and it shoves a full page ad on, or you go to look up a recipe on the internet and suddenly you're staring at the latest pair of Nikes.
Yeah.
So with tiny little ads at the top or bottom, depending on the page. Some page charts I've never put ads on. I want people to share their graphs. I want people to be able to say, look at what I'm wearing, and not have to worry about cropping out an ad. But they make enough over the course of a year to cover the App Store fees. All the core stuff is free. This is why it'll never be a business. Yeah. You can't make a business giving stuff away.
Giving it.
There is a paid option, but again, when I first created it, I put a little survey together and asked some of the other watch enthusiasts via the CW forum, what would you actually want an app to do? And one of the questions is, would you pay for this functionality? And it was amazing. Some people said, yeah, I'd probably pay you 15 quid a year. And another one said, yeah, I'd pay £2 for it. So, like I said, making money has never been the purpose of it. I just like to be able to look at graphs. I'm very sad in that way. So there's a donation option. It does unlock additional stuff. Initially, it just said, make a donation to remove the ads. I've always been a firm believer that there's various different sort of types of watch collector. There's guys that just buy variations of Casio F91Ws and those guys are amazing. And then there's guys who, if it's not the latest Long and Son, they're not interested.
Yeah.
So I purposely sort of thought, well, if I'm going to let people pay money to turn the ads off, let them pick their own price. So I put 3 options in. Part of that was trying to do the Apple thing, where the iPad Air is always the one to buy because it's in the middle. They've got the expensive one, they've got the middle one, and they've got the base one. So you hope that by putting one in the middle, people will pick the middle price.
Okay.
I'm not sure how
marketing sales strategy right there. Yeah.
I'm not sure how accurate that is, because I could tell you from.
Does it work?
I could tell from experience it doesn't work at all. Everyone in Android goes for the cheapest, but I don't mind. I think it depends where you are, but something like £3, £5, and £8 as a one-off payment. It does let you pay again if anyone wants to make a further donation, but it doesn't change anything if you do, apart from make me smile. Very important.
I think that's worth it. I think that's definitely worth it.
As an old age Scotsman. But slowly I added a few more features into that sort of pro bucket. And like I say, you can do essentially everything for free. You can, there's a feature where it pulls in atomic time, and you can check the time to set your watch, because when you've got a Seiko NH35 that runs at plus 15 seconds a day, it's incredibly important to be able to set it to the atomic time. I really believe that. I used to use Time.is website, and then I put it in the app, and I now just use the app. But it's essentially the same thing. I want my watch, when it's set, to be as accurate as possible. I don't care how it drifts from that, but I want it as accurate as possible on day one on my wrist. But if you've got the Pro version, it also shows you the moon phase. So if you've got a moon phase complication, it helps you set that. I added in what I called I initially called them nerd stats, and I got an email from a guy saying, "Have you considered calling it something that's a wee bit less confrontational?" I don't think that was the language you used. I'm saying it was a friendly email. It wasn't a.
Sure.
It wasn't a. Please don't call me a nerd. But I don't know. I kind of come from a time, I suppose. Being a nerd, you'd wear as a bit of a badge of honor. You were the outcast, but you kind of owned that. But I changed it to sort of pro data, and that's where you can track things like case thickness and lug to lug, and it unlocks. People ask me to add new stuff in all the time, new stats, and I've got a big list of things that I will add in. I promise everybody. But as I add them in, I like to then. I don't see the value in having data for data's sake. When I add it in, I try and generate insights based on that data. For example, when putting case thickness in and lug to lug, when I put all of those in, they all get an associated chart. So there's the wear stats, which show you what you've been wearing, and then there's the collection stats that show you, here's the sort of shape of your collection. You've got 5 38mm watches, and everything else is 42, and that kind of stuff. And when I add them in, you can change the type of chart and so on, but that's only for the sort of purchasers, because
that's a lot of work in it as well.
It's not work for me. It's more. It is work for me, I suppose, but it's more. I feel if you care about the stats to that level, I don't think you mind giving me 3 quid. And do you know what? It's a one-off donation that turns the ads off, and that lasts forever. So over the course of time, I probably make more from the tiny little ads. I've never worked that out. I might, but like I say, I'm less interested in that. I'm more interested in making something that people enjoy.
If you're into microbrand and independent watches, which you clearly are as you're listening to this podcast, you got to check out Watchpoint. Watchpoint is the newest destination in Melbourne, Australia for microbrand and independent watches. But it's more than just a brick and mortar store. It's a hub for watch enthusiasts. Come check out brands such as HZ, Basel, Second Hour, RZE and Montbray, and other exciting watches you won't find anywhere else. Watchpoint is also your go-to website for buying said watches, exploring microbrand profiles, discovering new releases, and staying informed with editorials, industry insights, and buying guides. So if you're keen on trying out your favorite microbrand watches, drop into Shop 304, Level 3, the Block Arcade on Collins Street, or visit watchpoint.com.au or check them out on Instagram at watchpoint.au for more. Again, I'm being brutally honest to you, I am still on the free version, but after listening to the pro data and all these cool stuff in there, you know what? Count me in. I'm in, and I'm also going to start afresh from the new year. Start tracking, because I while we were chatting, I had to pull up the app and have a look and see what I've been wearing and everything. And I'm like, ugh. Yeah, I've sold that one. I've sold that one. I've sold that one too. So yeah, I need to go through and start and changing some of that. Can you see? Obviously, too many. But yes.
And do you know that as much as the stats are interesting, something else that I think is useful about it, certainly I find it useful, is having one place that tells me the sort of shape of my collection at the moment. So you can mark watches sold. You can, if you wanted to, for insurance purposes or whatever, get a list of your watches and the price you paid for them and the value. Well, the value's not in there, but the price you paid for them.
Yeah, of course.
You can pull a CSV extract out of it and just get a wee Excel sheet that says, here's the watch, here's what I paid for it. Likewise as well, you can quickly look at what... if you mark it sold, you can track who you sold it to, how much you sold it for. There's some stats that make people happy, might make them less so, that show you how much you've spent on watches versus how much you've sold them for. I think it tells you the ratio of when you sell a watch. It'll tell you the ratio of what you spent versus how much you got back. So I think
I don't want to do that.
A 0.8 ratio or something. Only lost about 20% in buying and selling.
I think I'll make myself upset. I think a lot of watch enthusiasts will want to bury their heads in the sand for that one, or at least keep it as a quiet thing. Like, I'm not sharing this stat in my year-end stat post on
Yeah.
Instagram.
When you say year end as well, something my friend Ev, he has a lovely quartz Hamilton Jazzmaster. He's a one watch guy and he wears that same watch every day. But because he's the best guy in the world, he uses the app every day and every day says, I'm wearing my Hamilton Jazzmaster.
What a legend.
I was chatting to him just before Christmas last year. We've been friends for years. We used to pub quiz 20 years ago. We're chatting last year, and I said, "Ev, you've inspired me. He's a big music guy, wall of guitars. He has a little radio show that's not on radio called Vinyl Lockdown. So when your listeners are done listening to Overtime the
Yeah.
podcast, if they want to check out Vinyl Lockdown on Mixcloud, I'm sure Ev would be really happy.
Send me a link. You know the drill, audience. Everything we speak about will be in the show notes. So I'll add that in the show notes.
That's awesome. I'd appreciate it because Eva's the nicest guy and he has the best radio show that's not on radio. It
Shout out
isn't
to
to
Ev.
do with watches because obviously you've got the best watch related. But we were chatting last year because he's a big music guy. I kind of got it into my head about. So I use YouTube Music just because I've got a YouTube premium family account. I've got 2 young kids. All they do is watch YouTube because that's all kids do these days. And every year, Spotify do Spotify Unwrapped. YouTube do is it your year in music or something? Apple Music, everyone does the here's what
Their
you've
own
been
version.
listening to. So just before last Christmas, I said, do you know what? I'm about to start my Christmas break. Before the end of the year, I'm going to build a year in review feature. I called it Wrist Recap.
Nice.
So you can go in and as long as you've got, I can't remember if it was at least 3 months of data in the app, you can click it says it's a beta feature. It very much is beta because I rushed it. It was very janky, but I put the framework in place. I might try and get back to it this Christmas to make it a wee bit better. But it crunches some numbers and it pops up and says, here's what you wore most this year. You bought more than you sold. And it just gives you a little summary of your year in review.
That's awesome.
I always remember the first time, I don't know if Spotify did it first. Spotify is definitely known for it. But I remember the first time I saw something like that. It's like, that's really cool. Everyone, I can tell everyone how much I like Electric Six because I'm one of their number one fans this year. I thought no one else is doing that for watches. I'd like to be able to tell people this year I've worn my Christopher Ward the most, and I bought more watches than I sold. Don't let my wife know about that. She's very understanding. I just thought that was just a bit of fun. Watches should be fun. It shouldn't be as much as they're beautifully intricate timepieces. Like I said earlier, it's all about that little spark of joy in your wrist.
Yeah,
it's why I think I bought 2 pink watches this year. It's certainly why I bought my hot pink Erebus, which is like I said before, pure bubblegum joy.
Yeah, it's such a fun color. I mean, I think you're the only one in my feed that has that color, well, that I see often anyway, the hot pink, because it's usually the aventurine scent or the white or the black or something. But that's the one I used to have actually. Yeah.
For a very reasonable price, they've got a lovely range. Like you say, they did aventurine, they did some meteorite dials, they've done their mother of pearl. It's a really nice watch for not a lot of money. Although over here in the UK, there's a big sting on taxes as it comes in.
VAT and
But that's to be expected. I know they've done a couple of other runs. So when I saw the hot pink, I always got hot pink. I think its name's just pink.
But it is hot pink though, isn't it?
But it's hot pink. It's pure bubblegum joy. I need to say that every time I think about it because I can see it. I fell in love with it instantly when I saw the pictures of it. But I can see it very much being one of those that people are going to look at and go, I would never wear that. But then I think they've got they're another brand that's got a really good Facebook community.
Yes,
Steve and Jodie of Club Erebus on Facebook. They've got a really nice community that's just about the love of watches. But whenever they do another drop of stock, you always see loads of pictures. And I think they did a drop recently that was various sizes.
Yeah, they had the 34
36. Right up to 42, I think, and then 41. And I think you're seeing more people buying them then, and then they've done the high accuracy quartz versions. And I don't know, because I can't speak for them, but I wonder if people are starting to see on the wrist pictures and thinking, maybe I should push the boat out and
Maybe
go
I should. Yeah.
for crazy bubblegum coloured watches.
I think with the Ascend, I mean, yeah, look, obviously taking a little sidetrack here. I've had both the Aventurine and the Purple Helix. Both
It's
I
gorgeous as well.
thoroughly
Gorgeous.
enjoyed. Purple Helix are fantastic. But like you when we spoke about, I mean, I think before the podcast, I enjoy my watches. I have good time with them, but I see other watches that I like. I don't have infinite money. I have a finite source, which I go with, and also like the whole. I don't want too much watches, as they get that the anxiety of, oh, this is what I need to start selling some stuff and just move it on. Nothing about the watch or the quality of the watch or if I the light. Fantastic watches. But I think because the case shape and the bracelet and everything is so classic, so simple, but well executed, you want to take a leap into that sort of more crazier colors or a bit more out there colors. For example, the Aventurine. I know Aventurine can seem a bit played out, but it's just that little bit different. It's not, I'm not wearing a black dial. Hang on a minute. And then the Purple Helix, same thing. Like that's why, like when I got the Ascent, I was like, no, I'm not going to get the black or the white or, the simple colored dials. I'm going to go for this. Hot pink, maybe not. I'm not quite there yet, but I do love purple. I think this is my third purple watch.
Purple's your colour, Praka. That's such a nice watch. Like I say, the Purple Helix is lovely. I think that's the thing. I think it's one of the things I've really liked about what they've produced so far. Very, like I say, they're relatively low priced, relatively accessible, but they're doing interesting things with them. It's almost like they're gateway watches. I'm the same as you. I can't justify spending huge amounts of money on watches. I wish I could. I've been told I'm not allowed to sell my children. But I like a bar. I'm Scottish, much like Jodie is. I like a bargain. You know what they say about Scotsmen and £5 notes.
Yeah.
So I like to get a bargain, and I like to get as much for my money as I can. And it's one of the reasons why the microbrand space in general is just really nice. I know you talk about this all the time. You get such a range of watches available. Some brands just doing really interesting, different things without having to spend thousands on them. Although sometimes they do.
You can
go into the thousands.
You can, but yeah, I completely am with you there as well. I think I'm very much a bargain hunter in that sense, especially when I'm looking for the shout out to AAWF. I think I shout out that group so many times. It's the Australian Affordable Watch Forum. Honestly, there's some great people in there, some great watches in there, and yeah, you can find some bargains. You have a Clemens watch, right? Is that you do? Yeah, now that's a brand that I haven't had a chance to really have a good look at in person, but is yours the one with the multicolored?
Yeah, I went for the Ridgeline. I'll hold up to the camera
That's
to
it.
see.
Ridgeline, yeah.
So, do you know, I was torn between getting I want to say plain old black, but the black dial is beautiful. They do a lovely one that's called Highland Amber, which is a lovely yellow dial.
It's like a yellow dial, yeah.
Yeah, I think that was the version Jodie reviewed on Just One More Watch channel. A great video, well worth checking out. Tom, the guy who runs Tom Clemens, is a lovely guy. I broke last Christmas. I broke my clasp. I went up. I've got a loft, pulled down the ladder, getting the Christmas decorations down, and I've got a very narrow hallway. I kind of tried to go around the ladder and I had my watch on. I caught it, and when I caught it, instead of doing the sensible thing and backtracking to come back around, I just tried to use as much force as possible. Like I say, I love a good invincible tool watch.
Yeah, fair enough. Yep.
I managed to absolutely wreck the clasp. I totally bent it. The nice thing is, and I've got nothing but good things to say about Clemens, this is a stunning, stunning watch. Again, for not a huge outlay of money. Really nicely made, really nicely finished. But it's a strap monster, so it could quite happily sit on a NATO. I'm a NATO guy. I actually got a NATO with it because, again, I'm happy to big up Tom and Clemens watches. The Monroe was first coming in I think it was April was the expected due date. It was really nice, sent an email to everyone waiting for them saying, we're waiting on the bracelets coming in, might be a week or two late. And when they came in, I think he then said, do you know what? I'm not happy with some of these bracelets. I'm going to send out the watches with a complimentary strap. The bracelet will come a couple of weeks late. So, like I said, I wore it on the NATO for a few weeks while I nicely spoke to Tom. He replied to say, do you know what? We're going to a watch show, one of the big watch shows in the UK, to show our watches. We'll be back in X. I said, do you know what? Leave it just now. I'll get back in touch in a couple of weeks once things have calmed
Once you're
down.
back from the show, yeah.
But the nice thing about it, and I don't know if it always happens in the microbrand space, I know that Tom's talked about not just getting a stock of watches, but also a stock of spare parts and a stock of all the little bits. I know that he works with a group through, I think he is based in Edinburgh. I don't hold that against him being a Glasgow guy. But
I'd be disappointed if he didn't say something about that. Yeah. I mean, we've got quite a bit of Scots in Perth, the other Perth, not
my Perth. Loads of Scots emigrate. My Auntie Katie moved to Perth. I'm not sure where. I say my Auntie Katie. She was my great aunt. I think she's long gone now. She'd be about 110 by now, I think. But I've definitely got family over in Oz. Somewhere I'd love to visit, although I'm terrified. I don't know how you guys can handle the spiders.
It's actually not that bad. I'm telling you, it's a bit overplayed. Well, I guess it depends on where you are. And
every living creature trying to kill you.
I did find a spider in my boots a couple of days ago. So yeah, maybe. Anyway, yeah, but yes. So you're talking about Tom and Edinburgh and Horologium, is that?
Yeah, I can't remember the name of them, but he's got a little sort of watchmaker gang who sort everything out. I don't know if he might have done it himself. It was just a bracelet swap. He said, we've got parts, here's the details, here's an invoice. Sent it through, back about a week later. I can't complain. He was really nice about it. He was like, he never once said, I can't believe I sent you a lovely watch to wear and you've wrecked it.
I think it is Horologium, if I recall correctly.
I think it is.
Because there's a few brands that actually use Horologium as their sort of assembly partner in the UK. And I think quite recently we had Chloe from Minim Watches. So
those are lovely looking watches as well. Really, really nice.
It was very hard to pass it on to the next person. Let me just tell you that. It was a beautiful watch. And so she uses them as well. Studio Underdog, I'm pretty sure uses them as well.
Did I not see? Did Studio Underdog not just buy them?
I did see that, and that was going to be a topic of conversation next year when I have James. James is going to come back on again on the podcast. I know we spoke about that. We're going to talk about that and amongst other things. But let's have a chat about it now. I don't know how I feel about it, if I'm being completely honest. I think it's great that a microbrand is obviously enough capital to be able to go and do things like that and actually buy up a watchmaker's studio that they can partner with and use them. But does that mean they're going to stop supporting other brands? I sure wouldn't hope. I would hope not, because it's a bit of a shame.
It's interesting. I tried a Studio Underdog for the first time. What's the name of the group? There's a group in the UK that just run events, and they did a Glasgow watch show this year. It's not Red Bar, but I think they were partly associated with it.
Right.
Is it just the Watch Collectors Club or something like that? It's something really simple.
Sure.
But they run events around the UK, and they did one in Glasgow this year, which was great. Another chance to go and meet like-minded nerds. And just try one and talk watches all day long. His first chance trying one, I absolutely loved it. It was just before, in fact, I think it was while the pre-order was running for their avocado and guacamole limited edition.
Yeah.
And I absolutely loved the guacamole, the plain green one, gorgeous. But the impression I got from speaking to Rich, is it Richards?
Rich,
his name?
Rich, yep.
I'm terrible with names. Anyone who sees
Grant did call me something else when we first joined, and I was like, oh, that's not. No, I'm joking. I'm kidding.
anyone who watches the video back of this will see I'm a very old man these days. I'm now into my 40s, so my memory's starting to go. I used to berate my parents for it, but I've now reached that point. I just can't do names. But I remember chatting to Richard. He just seemed like a really nice guy. He just seemed to like watches. I know he's like a designer by trade, and that's kind of where it's all come from. But clearly he enjoys what he's doing. And the impression I got isn't that he's going to buy them up to stop anyone else using them. Maybe it will mean that Studio Underdog gets the priority on the time, but I don't know. I kind of hope that in buying them, it's going to make it even bigger, even better.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't think that is going to be a detriment to other brands. I feel like the way that they operate, collaborations with C Ward, collaborations with Fears, I feels like they're all about community and trying to work with other brands, and I think. So yeah, I only think this is going to be a good thing. But it was very interesting though to see essentially a micro brand, buying into something like this. Yeah,
and
yeah,
exactly. The micro brand now. I wonder when they get past the point where they are a micro brand. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the sign Underdog is no longer the underdog.
Yeah,
because the success they've had from. Something I think is kind of wonderful about it. I think it started raining here, and I'm in a wooden shack, by the way, so apologies if that's going to disturb everyone in Radio Land. But yeah, they've essentially had one. I say one. They've had two key designs that they've then just iterated on and expanded on. I remember when they call it the Series 2, don't they? The Field Watch came out. And I remember that getting a lot of stick in the community a little bit. You see in person, it's a gorgeous watch. I love the glass dial. I love the screws.
The screws was definitely cool.
Yeah, I love that they were trying to. I think they went to a Swiss Solita movement over the ST
Seagull,
Seagull one. And I think people were saying, well, it's a micro brand. I don't want to pay Swiss watch prices for it. But it's all about the design. It was a gorgeous watch. You mentioned the collaboration with Fears. My friend Graham, who I mentioned to, met at the Christopher Ward event. And then again, at the Glasgow Watch Show, he picked up one of the Fears Gimlet collaborations. And it's just gorgeous.
Colour is the gimlet?
The gimlet was the first one. It's an all lume dial, so it's kind of like like that sort of ectoplasm kind of whitey green colour. But again, it's that glass dial under it. It's the way that everything's layered on it. It's hard to see it in pictures, but when you see it in person, absolutely stunning.
Do you like the Manhattan one? Is it the orange?
I think that's the new one.
The new one. Yeah, that was really nice, and that was the one that they released online for the certain order period. So it wasn't the ones that you had to go line up in person.
Had to go and be at
that one was like, oh, okay, maybe let me check my watch account. No, I don't have enough. What can I, it never worked out, but it is cool. Yeah, the ectoplasm dial, so you call it. It was probably my least favorite out of the three, but it is still cool. I can appreciate it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh, I thought it was lovely. Just for everyone in listener land, just to be clear, I'm trademarking ectoplasm dial. Any microbrands that want to use that, please feel free to drop me a note. Feedback at WristTrack.app.
I will, of course, leave all of the links to the app, your contact details, your Instagram, so you can contact Grant directly and let him know what you think.
And please, if you're going to make an ectoplasm dial, give me first dibs on it. I'd love an ectoplasm dial.
I did hear that dial getting called something completely different, and it wasn't it was called a snot dial. It was it was Iman. She is a podcaster. She does a podcast with Poppin' Crowns, Chris. I'm sure you've heard. Yes. So, they did the Tale of Two Wristies. And anyway, she calls it the snot dial, which I thought was quite hilarious because it kind of does remind you, and not in a bad way, but it does.
I was going to say, I think being of that generation that was raised on repeats of the new Ghostbusters, the real Ghostbusters was the cartoon.
Yeah.
And obviously all the Ghostbusters movies and so on. I'm going to stick with ectoplasm dial.
I like it. Yeah, yeah.
I think if you take bodily fluids out of the equation, it's always the best. It's always the best course of action.
Yeah, I don't know if how it will sell if you call your dial snot dial, but ectoplasm, and then you could have some sort of Ghostbuster collaboration or something. Yeah.
Needs a loomed strap as well. I've not got any loomed straps. I see a few people. I know Christopher Ward did one. I've seen a few do them.
Yeah,
Uh,
I bought one. Oh no, if I actually bought one, I was going to buy one from what's that strap brand? Cheap as NATO straps. I know they don't call
yeah,
themselves
yeah.
that because they got
CNS, because nobody's allowed to
CNS
call them NATOs anymore. Yeah,
because of that patent troll. Yeah, yeah, which is a whole other story. But yeah, they were doing loomed straps for years, like loomed
yeah.
NATOs for years. Yeah.
I think they did NATOs and parachute straps as well, didn't they? Sort of
Mm,
Marine Nationals, but I think
that's
they
it.
call them parachute
Yeah.
straps.
I actually like their paratrooper strap over other brands' Marine National straps. To be fair, I haven't tried Erica's original, which is, the creme de la creme, which I hear nothing but good things about, or Nick Mankey's strap as well.
Yeah. So
Again, Cook strap. That's what it's called.
the only ones I have are, I've got one. I did a DIY watch club self-build a few years ago, and it was a little bundle that came with a handful of straps. One of them was an elastic parachute style strap, which I loved, and I think my DIY watch is on it at the moment. And I've got, I think, two that I got from CNS, 2 or 3. Again, and I didn't get a loomed one, but I got a lovely, it's almost like a coral, I think you would call it, like an orangey sort
Oh,
of colour. It's a really nice strap. I used to have a Seiko Willard, and I used to tell people it was a watch. I had a little bit of money. I wanted to buy a watch around about Christmas time. It arrived on New Year's Eve, actually. In the sales, got a really good price on it. But I used to tell people it was everything I didn't like in watches. It was a black DLC coated. It had the date at 4 o'clock. My 6 o'clock or 9 o'clock guy. Oh, 6 o'clock,
yeah.
3 o'clock guy rather.
Very cool.
And it had a cushion case, classic Willard cushion case,
Yeah,
and it had an unsigned crown because it was a Seiko.
because of course.
Why does Seiko not sign their crowns? And if you'd asked me to list things I don't like in watch, or I didn't think I'd like in watches, those would be the ones. It was their Seiko's 2022, I think it would have been, Black Series limited edition. They did, what are the names of them? The Marine Master, what's their everyday dive watch that's lovely?
SPB, the 143, but that
Yeah.
series. Yeah,
So
yeah.
they did 3, and the Willard was the last one. The Willard was the most heavily discounted. And I just remember I was going through that phase. You and everyone listening will know when you just have that feeling of, I need to buy a watch. The sales are on, and day and night for a few days, I was just scrolling the jewelers' websites because Christmas sale, I've got to clear out. I didn't see anything. You need that little spark, not just when you're wearing a watch, but when you're looking to buy something, especially if you're buying online. And nothing was jumping out at me. I looked at I thought about stretching to buy an Oris at that point. I still haven't owned an Oris. Oris is a brand I'd love to get a watch or two
Great
from.
watches.
But I just remember coming across this, and I saw the series, and something about the Willard just jumped out at me. I know we've gone off on a total tangent about this. I
Yep,
hope you don't mind.
that's
We're chatting watches.
We're
That's
chatting
what
watches.
we're here for.
Exactly.
And it came with a rubber strap. I wasn't the biggest fan of the rubber strap, but it was a good rubber strap. But I just wasn't the biggest fan of it. And it came with a lovely, I forget what they call them, but it was a lovely woven
The
NATO.
Seichu.
That's the one. And it was so comfortable. Lovely. Absolutely loved that watch. And I loved it on that NATO.
I reckon
But I
it's one
tried
of
it in
the
a few other things.
best like stock NATOs that you get
Yeah.
on a watch ever. Like, I've had a
The-
few
The
watches that come in
keepers and the
NATOs.
sliders were just
Yeah.
top notch, and it was so comfortable. But
If you try and buy one of those, it's not cheap.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not cheap.
But I suppose getting back to my point, when we dove off on a tangent, CNS watch bands, I had this lovely coral parachute strap, and it's the only watch I think I ever popped it on, and I'll need to find an old pic and pop it back on Instagram. It was just lovely on that Seiko. The Seiko had orange hands. It wasn't anywhere near a matching colour. But just because it was that black DLC case and this totally incongruous, lovely sort of summery coral colour that just sort of lit up the wrist.
Goes against everything that the watch is designed for, isn't it? Stealth, use it in, I don't know, old military situations. Like, I gotta chuck it on a coral strap. I love it.
And do you know, I'll need to share some pictures because I'm sure loads of people out there are thinking, this sounds like the worst combination. This guy's talked about wearing a hot pink watch. He's got a multicoloured dial Clemens. What is this guy thinking? I do have plenty of boring watches as well. I don't always buy things that make your eyes bleed.
I mean, majority of my collection is like black dial watches and white dials. Actually, not as much nowadays, but yeah, black dials and plain dials. So that's why I like a bit of fun like this.
Yeah, you need a bit of balance. I've been surprised that the watch I've worn most over the past when did I get it? Maybe about a month is my little jangly Casio Back to the Future calculator watch. Was that
the limited edition ones?
Yeah. Was it the 40th anniversary of Back to the Future? I remember the first one coming out. I remember the first time I saw a DeLorean was in. I don't know if you get them in Australia.
The DeLorean
Panini sticker albums is what they call.
The football stickers and stuff. Yeah.
So I remember back in it would have been 1985. I would have been about 4, and my sister had a sticker album for Back to the Future, and I remember she let me help her put the stickers on, and I just remember there was a big 2-page spread with loads of stickers of this car, and I just remember it looked like no other car I'd ever seen, and from that moment I was in love with the DeLorean. Still, I'm from the 80s. Back then, movies and TV shows had the best cars. We had Knight Rider, we had the A-Team, Ghostbusters with the Ecto-1, all pale in comparison in my eyes to the DeLorean. And when I saw it, it's about £100 for a Casio calculator, which it's a lot of money for what is a jangly cheap Casio. I've just not been able to take it off my wrists. And I remember back in the 80s as well, I remember thinking a calculator watch was just the coolest invention ever.
Yeah.
It's a watch that you can do sums on. What's not to love? But yeah, I've absolutely been loving that. I just kind of said before, I don't think you need to spend a lot of money to enjoy this hobby.
I agree.
The sky's the limit, but I've been amazed just how much I've fallen in love with that thing, and I've used it. I've doing a wee quick sums. I've got big-ish hands. I've got big fat fingers, but it's surprisingly usable. It doesn't have a backlight though. Shame on you, Casio.
Oh, maybe they can do it for version 50th anniversary.
I assume none other calculators. I think you can mod. It's a Casio. You'll be able to mod it, but It's a limited edition. I don't think I'll.
No. Get a regular one and go from there. Yeah. I don't have any Casios. I did have an F91W, which stopped working. Not sure what happened there. Anyway, it changed the battery. Didn't. Yeah. Anyway, that's another story. My G-Shocks, I have them and I wear them occasionally, but I don't know. If I'm going to the beach or whatever it is, I'm chucking my turtle on. I'm putting my dive watches on, and I don't know. I just don't really gravitate towards digital watches as much.
I have 2 G-Shocks. One I got in the summer. It's one of their Fantastic Four ones. It's just the sort of white Cassie oak.
Okay, yeah.
It's just white with some blue highlights. I thought, going on holiday for the summer, we went to, where did we go? Mallorca? Somewhere sunny anyway. And it was usually when we go away on holiday, we'll go somewhere to visit places and to show the kids some culture and all of that nonsense. But this year, I've had a really busy year at work. There's been a lot going on, family-wise and so on. So we just thought, let's just go on holiday somewhere where we can sit by the pool and just do nothing for 2 weeks. Ahead of that, I took my hot pink Erebus,
of course,
perfect summer watch,
Yeah.
On a white tropic strap. And I took my Christopher Ward's. Again, it came with a lovely rubber strap, a nice pink rubber strap, following that pink theme. And I took the white Casio, and between them, that was for 2 weeks. That was just a nice wee trio.
Perfect.
I've got an orange G-Shock, and
Yes.
it's become my DIY watch. So I found
Which is
last
Square
year.
G.
It's a Square G.
Yeah, I can see it right there. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, I like that.
Show the
Yeah,
camera.
very
Show the
nice.
camera collection.
There you go. Yeah.
It's now covered in paint. Again, I bought this for a summer holiday a couple of years ago, but this year, for anyone who can see, I'm sitting in like a shed. I've built a home
A
office.
really cool shed.
A home office out in my garden. It's made of wood. I didn't put it up. I paid someone to put it up for me, but between myself and my father-in-law, we wired in all of the electrics. We painted it, varnished it, prepped it, built all the furniture. So this spring, I spent about a month every night coming out, doing something to this place to get it to the point where I can now, this is now my home office. This is where I work 9 to 5 every day, as well as occasionally coming out to play video games or build a watch app or podcast. So this went from, I only wore it a handful of times because, like you, I own it, but I'm not a big G-Shock guy. It's a lovely watch. I'm glad I own it and have it in my collection. But if I want an invincible watch for doing DIY, this is always my first choice.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I don't care too much if I damage it. It's covered in paint. It's all marked up now, but I think that kind of adds to its beauty.
Bit of ruggedness too. Yeah.
I don't like to baby my watches because, like I said earlier, I'm an incredibly clumsy person. I'll bump them off things. I don't mind the odd scraper, as long as it's got a story to go with it. So, like I say, that's covered in paint and so on. I've built this place.
It reminds you of this place.
Yeah, my Clemens, I destroyed it. Sorry again, Tom. I destroyed the bracelet, but I've now got a nice story about how I wrecked the bracelet on my Clemens Monroe.
Exactly.
Super sought after microbrands.
Exactly. And how good the microbrand owners can be getting stuff sorted. I think I probably told the story. Yeah, my Helios C4th. I don't know if you've seen that one.
Beautiful. I'd love one of them. Love one.
I said we'll talk about our most worn watches. It's up there. It's up there in my top 5 most worn. I think my Grand Seiko SPGX 261 is my top worn this year. And again, since I haven't used the app as well as I can, but just from glancing, I'm like, yeah, definitely at the top. But again, yeah, very different. Whether it's one's a toolie and it's not. But going back to the Helios, had an issue, and it's out of warranty. I hit up Jason and said, hey, look, got this issue. It's a Salida thing. Salidas do that helicopter. Helicoptering.
The rotor, I've had that before.
The rotor helicopter thing.
It's a rite of passage, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And I mean, it doesn't matter what brand it is. Any brand that uses a Salida, you are almost guaranteed not guaranteed, but you're likely to happen because it's a design or something.
Yeah. I shake to wake my Salitas. I never wind them now.
Yeah. I still haven't learnt from my experience. But yeah, I just said to him, hey, look, what do you recommend I should do? And he said, well, you can send it to me. You can send it to a center that's sort of local to you, which I use in Asia for repairs around in the sort of Asia, Oceania area. Or you can find, if you have someone local that you trust, you can bring it to them, and then just send me the invoice once you're done. I'll sort it out. And I said, oh,
how cool is that?
Yes. So yeah, not only did he, and this is out of warranty, guys. And he just did it. So yeah, shout out to Jason and Helios. I know Helios get a bit of flack for being that sort of brand that is a bit mysterious. How do we buy one? Blah blah. It's actually not that hard, guys. You just go on their website and order whenever he drops it. So I guess that's the hard part is
I think that's
trying to find out.
It's the windows, isn't it? And trying to actually get one because
he's taken away.
Watches are really nice.
He's taken away the whole lottery system thing because I think people were sort of getting frustrated at that, but now they've just gone open, like doing what a lot of brands doing.
Yeah, here's an order window, we'll make as many
Exactly.
as we sell.
72-hour window or a week window or whatever it is, and then you just and you just got to follow him on Discord. That's the trick. You go on their Discord channel, and he's super active in there, and everyone just
That's cool.
asks him a bunch of questions, and there's a great community in there as well. The Halios Discord channel. They also chat about other watch brands and stuff as well. It's not just Halios. So anyway, sort of a pivot, but yes, my Grand Seiko SPGX, my Helios, and I'm not sure what my third one is. I would probably say my third one is, which is also probably my saddest one because I sold it, is my Astor Banks Fortitude Lite. I
Oh,
absolutely loved that watch, and I don't know why I sold it, if I'm being honest, if I'm being really honest, but I did sell it to a watch friend who bought it for his stepson's graduation. So I'm kind of glad it's gone to someone and it's meaningful, and he absolutely loves it. So
it'll add to the story of the piece.
exactly, yeah.
Just you mentioned that there about selling it. I can't remember. I was speaking to someone recently about this. I maybe heard you speaking about it on a previous podcast as well. Actually,
Maybe
now that
I
I
do
think
talk a
about
lot
it,
of shite. Yeah.
but something was in my head because I've been thinking about selling my Christopher C65, the old style C65. I've got one of their Trident divers. I absolutely love that watch. And my Erebus, not the Ascent, the Origin. I got one of their first run Origins. And again, it's a watch I absolutely love. But the way I described it was, it just feels like I've had my time with it.
Had your time
And
with it. Yeah.
I'd like to. Do you know? Actually, was it a chat on Instagram that we were talking about this one?
Maybe
Because I remember some other people saying similar things, and it's
if you love it, let it go.
well, exactly. I just feel like, again, coming back to the stats, I'm not talking enough about my app.
Yeah. Come on, let's get back to the.
But coming back to that idea of the data telling me things, I've slowly stopped wearing them. It's not that I don't love them anymore. We're just growing apart as different person and mechanical timepiece, and it just feels like it's time to let someone else have a story with that watch. Let somebody else have their time with it. I think I said it earlier. That's probably, the biggest reason that I created the app is because I like looking at graphs. And there's no two ways about that. I just think it's cool. There's something wrong with me. Having some raw data that says, do you know what, in the last 6 months, you've kind of forced yourself to wear that one. You can kind of see it in the numbers. You can see other things are getting more time. There's that whole honeymoon thing of, something will stay in your wrist forever. One of my favourite watches, I think it's my second or third most worn watch this year, is my Longines Spirit 40mm, but it wears bigger. It wears like a 42.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that watch. I've now had it for 2.5 years, I think. But every time I look at it, I still love it like the day I got it. And whenever I'm looking for a watch, I've got this little watch box behind me that you can see, but I've got some drawers that have some other boxes in them, smaller watch boxes. And when I'm thinking, it's time to change my watch, I've worn some for a couple of days. That's now 8 seconds out. I can't wear that anymore. When I'm thinking it's time to change my watch, I'm not an everyday guy. Usually I wear a watch for 2 or 3 days and then I decide to change it. And I'll pop the boxes open and it still always draws my eye. It tends to live on I get a really nice NATO from Watch Gecko that it often lives on, or I got it at a heavy, heavy discount because I think they'd released this a sort of version 1.1 maybe that had a better strap that I think, or a better bracelet. I think it had micro adjust and it had a quick release.
Okay.
Whereas the one I've got, it's got a butterfly clasp and it's for what is a relatively expensive watch. The bracelet is not of the quality of the one that's on my Clemens Monroe or any of my Christopher Wards, but it's nice on the bracelet. It is nice on the bracelet. It's just, you need a proper tool to take it off. Nice wee Bergion. But, every time I see it, I still feel that spark that I need to put that on. Whereas my C65, as much as I love it, every time I wear it, I still look at my wrist and say, yeah, that's a great watch. But I don't feel it jumping out.
For it.
It's not jumping out of the box to me anymore. And do you know what? I'd like somebody else to be able to to put that in their collection, to put it on the wrist and go, yeah, I've made it. I've got a nice Christopher Ward.
Yeah. No, well said. Well said. I think it was James and I were talking about this actually, and same sort of thing.
I think it
Yeah.
might have been, yeah.
So I was telling him, I said, I've got this, and I don't know if I want to sell it. I really like it. It's one of my first bought watches, but I just don't reach for it as much or whatever it is. And then he said, well, you could sell it. There's nothing wrong with selling it. Like if you've had your time with it, you're allowed to move on and try something different. And I think it sort of comes with the territory as well. Like I feel like I need to, and I want to try as many watches as I can. Of course we have local get-togethers where I get to try some really cool stuff on, but also it's nice to have stuff on for a longer term, to be able to trial stuff for longer term. I do, shout out to the brands that send me watches so that I can try them on. They're also epic, and so I do get chances to try different things, but it's just like I said, it's a finite source, so I have to get rid of stuff to be able to get stuff on. So don't feel too bad, people. That's what we're trying to say, is don't feel too bad.
Yeah,
it's okay.
And that's it. I know I can't own every watch, but I'd like to, just like you said, I'd like to try as many as I can, to try owning as many as I can. Like you say, not just going into a shop on an afternoon and asking for a free cup of coffee and then trying on everything in the store. I've only done that once.
It's very awkward. I still don't have that in me every time I go in there, I just feel awkward in all these 80s. But again, that's another story for another episode. But 80 it's not my thing. Yeah.
Speaking of which, I'll probably need to wrap up quite soon, because I know it's late for you, but I need to go and get my kids from school
yes.
fairly soon.
Yeah, don't leave your kids at school. But okay, before we wrap up, of course, everyone go and check out Grant's app. It is amazing. It is, and I think Grant's really undersold the functionality, the usefulness, and just being watch enthusiasts. I think it's so cool to have something like this in your phone, where it's just ping. It doesn't really take that very long to do it. You know what? That's my issue. Is I switched off my notifications for the app. That's what I need to do. Switch it back on so that it tells me that I need to do it every morning. So
do you know, that's the thing. I know we're starting to wrap up, but I've never wanted an app to bully me, but I do want it to just remind me. I hate the idea of getting 50 notifications a day. I want as few notifications as possible. Do you know what? I don't anymore, actually, but I used to have a 9:15 meeting every morning. And I'd be sitting at home, and I set my app reminder for 9:15, because on that meeting, it was like a daily check-in with a few people. It was like a pre-daily check-in, actually, around 9:30 daily check-in.
For then,
And a handful of us had a 9:15 one. We'd always be sitting there, cameras on. I say cameras on, obviously. I'm sitting at home at my desk these days, not in an office anymore. But 9:15 every day, I would track what I was wearing. Sometimes they'd watch me open my watch box and set a watch while I was chatting away, giving some wee daily updates. And it just became part of my routine to track at that time. I loved that because my phone's always in a charging cradle on my desk when I'm working. Yeah. And I always loved getting that little teal, I think teal's the right name of the colour I've used for the app logo. Teal. That little teal notification to say, hey, don't forget to track what's in your wrist. Yeah. And sometimes it would remind me to actually, it's time to change watch as well.
True.
I'm tracking this one again. What else can I wear this week?
That's it. That's a great way to remind me and all of the audience as well. So, of course, I'll leave all the links to everything we've discussed and all of Grant's, where we can find you. But the best way to contact you is via Instagram or via your app, email.
Instagram's probably the best place to get me. Like I've said to you before, Praka, I don't think on the call, but when we've spoken before, I don't know how to market this stuff. I'm not too interested in doing it. I'm here just to chat watches and have fun. But Instagram, I think, is a great place for that, because I can have an account where I can just show pictures of watches, and you'll probably be surprised how little I post about the app on. I probably should mention it more, but I just love. I like photography. I like watches. So yeah, give me a follow. Drop me a message if there's anything you want to see. in the app and I can tell you it's either coming soon or it's on the massive backlog that I'll get to one day because,
One day.
like I said, it's a hobby. I don't necessarily get to work on it every day, but I go through bursts of really, really want to sit and stare at some code for a few evenings this week. So yeah, but I'm always open to ideas. That the community and the conversation about it tells me what to do with it. I get my little graphs. I'm happy with that, but it only becomes better by adding in suggestions from other people. And I'm not here to bully people into trying the app, but if you do give it a go out in Radioland, I hope you enjoy it.
I'm sure they will. And yeah, let Grant know as well. Ping him a message. Let him know. So awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was awesome. It was not only great to chat about your app, but also learn all about yourself and just a great chat about watches. Normally we wrap up with something interesting, but I am conscious of your little ones. They need someone to pick them up from school. So unless you have something really quick that you wanted to share that's different and something interesting, otherwise we'll call it right there.
Yeah, I don't have anything else interesting to say, Praka. Arguably, I've said nothing interesting for the last 90 minutes, but I've had a great time. It's been so much fun coming to just, I think the phrase is shoot the shit with you about watches, to chat with another like-minded watch nerd with an almost equally as awesome beard. So hopefully some people are going to watch some of your shorts. Yeah. To compare.
To compare beards, no, yours is more awesome. Definitely. This is a bit, not as good.
Yes. It's been fantastic, Praka. Thanks so much.
Welcome. Thank you.
Hopefully we'll do it again.
Definitely. Always keen to have a chat. So, well, if there's nothing else, we'll leave it right there. Cheers.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Overtime the Podcast. I hope you enjoyed the episode. You can find us on our Instagram at Overtime the Podcast, at Kinda Average Watches, or flick me an email on overtimethepod@gmail.com. I appreciate your support and value your feedback. If you have any questions, suggestions, or topics that you would like the podcast to cover in the future, please hit us up. Until next time.